So what we're going to do in this first episode is set up LangChain.rb. So I've created a UI to save a bit of time so we can get straight to the good stuff. So the UI is basically just a way of easily listing out messages and a form to post new messages so that we can test these agents in the browser. We'll go ahead and go to LangChain.rb and we'll copy this and do the bundle add and then just restart our Rails server. And then we'll go for now to app models and create a new folder called AI and create a new file called agent.rb. For now, this isn't going to be database backed, but we'll get to that in a future episode. So we've got our agent. We'll then want to go in here and create a client. So we can go to LangChain and we'll go down and see the basic usage here. So we can create an LLM, which gives us all access, but the actual thing I've found that works best is to go for their assistants. So if we go to assistants and then we still go ahead and create an LLM, and we can do that here and cache that as well. And I have my OpenAPI key environment variable already set up, so that's good to go. We can save that. The only other thing I think we might actually need to do is also add the Ruby OpenAI gem, because LangChain relies on that. And if you want to use Claude, it relies on the Anthropic gem. It allows you to switch providers and all of that very easily. So you just have to add a couple of gems when you want to work with different providers. So you create an LLM, then you create an assistant. So we can come down here and create our assistant. We can actually just make a method here called run, and it'll take a message. We'll add in our LangChain code here. So we give it the LLM, which is OpenAI for now. That will default the model and whatnot, so we can actually configure additional options and timeouts and all of that sort of stuff in here if we need. And then we give it instructions as well. And there's certain things here too for tools, which we'll leave out for now. So we've got you're a helpful AI assistant. That's fine. We'll just hit save, get this working. So we take a message in. So we get our assistant here, and then we go down and we call assistant.addMessage, and we can just add the message like so. So that message is going to have a role and a content, and then we can also call assistant.run. The really nice thing with LangChain is that you can use auto tool execution. So if we add any tools, it'll automatically call the tools, wait for the responses, handle all that complex stuff, and it's just a big time saver. So we can call that auto execute with tool executions, and then we can come in here and say assistant.messages.last.content. So we'll take a message, add that into the LLM, tell it to run, and we'll come back with the content of the last message. So if we hit save here, in my UI, I've got a form set up that posts to the agent's controller, takes text as a message, and we can just put enter your message here. And then we've got the send button. So we'll go to the agent's controller, go to create, take our message, and we'll grab our response here. Now what we can do is, we don't need instance variables here. So we've got a response. We can do a render turbo stream. And yes, we'll do turbo stream append to the messages div. And instead of partial, which we don't need, I have a view component for the message. So if we go to show, what I'm doing right now is rendering out two example view components. And we can come in here and do that. So we can say HTML is message component.new and the message is response. That I think is response content. So we might actually need to go through here and say role. Let's check. So we can probably return this. So actually let's do this. Role last message equals. Let's do this. And then we can take our message in the controller and just paste it right into the view component, and that is going to append into our chat. So if we hit save and go and test this out, we should be able to write a message and say, hi, what's your name? Send, and we don't work. So let's try this again, see what's going on. So we get 404 not found for agent. Let's go to Rails roots and see what's going on. So we've got agent path get, and we need to go into our roots then and actually add in create here as well. If we just check that roots there now, we've got a post root as well. So now if we go in and hit send again, the wrong number of arguments. So let's go back to our LangChain and see what we've done wrong here. So we've got add message and run, add message content hello. Let's see. So I think what we need to do here is message, rather than being just a string, needs to be an object. So we need to say role user and then content of message. And if we try this again, we'll just say hi. We're still getting an error here. So what's this? Wrong number of arguments given 1 expected 0. So we've got our assistant. So let's go to our agent. Let's change things up a bit just to future-proof them a little. So let's say we've got an array of messages, and we can then come down here and say messages each, and we'll go to this assistant and we'll say role, message role, content, message content, and we'll hit save. If we come back to our controller, then what we want to do here is add those into an array. They've got a role, they've got a content, and let's go back and retry this again. Now that works and we get our message component back, but it's not actually rendering. So we need to go to our controller here and we need to say render in view context. And then let's try that one more time and say hi. And it comes back, how can I assist you today? So let's ask it for a name, and that's fine. Now what's actually going on here is you can see our messages aren't going in. The messages for the assistant are just stacking up, and we're only sending in one message at a time to this assistant. So it's going to have no context of previous questions. So that kind of brings us where we need to go next, which is having message history, storing those messages in the database. And then every time that you chat to the assistant, you need to send all the messages every time so that it has the full history of the conversation and doesn't forget anything. So that's what we'll look at in the next episode. For now, I'm just going to make one quick change so that our messages also go into the UI here. And we'll just go to agents controller, and where we've got the turbo stream, what we can do is make that an array, and we can do 2 appends. So we can come in and do an append with a message component, and we can say that, let's call this user message. You can put user message in here. So if we hit save and come back and reload this, you'll see it also just loses the context, and these 2 messages are just me testing out the message component. So we'll just go in here and delete this so there's no messages at all. Hit save. And now if I come in and say hi and post, we should get my message and then the assistant's reply. So that is the basics of setting up LangChain, and we'll take a look in the next episode at having some kind of message history.